Good afternoon, Prescott. It's the KYCA PM show live here at the KYCA studios at 500 Henry Street on a beautiful day. Scotty, what's the weather? It's a little warm out there.
Yeah, it certainly is. What we've got as far as weather goes is that we're going to have daytime highs dropping just a little bit this afternoon, and the winds have picked up. But we have hot temperatures throughout this coming week and additional windy conditions Thursday onward.
We need a little monsoon action here.
Hopefully that'll start soon. We're getting close to the start.
When does it usually start? I always forget.
I thought it was around the 1st of July.
Right before the rodeo?
Yeah, just in time for the rodeo.
Bring it in for the rodeo and for Potter's House Week. Why not? No comment?
No comment.
Okay.
It's just, that's like you don't plant before Mother's Day.
There you go. Well, good. It's going to be a great show today. We've got John Murphy and we've got Matt Phillips from U.S. Vets, and we're just going to talk about stuff that's going on in the community, some great charity events, what's happened, where some money that's been raised has gone, and how we can help the community. But I'm going to kick it off with a little commercial. From 4:30 to 7 today, 4:30 until 7. You can come anytime between. There'll be a meet and greet with candidates Brandon Montoya for mayor and also Greg Lozelle and Henry Ebarb for city council. We'll have food provided. No host over at Whiskey River Tavern from 4:30 to 7. Come anytime in between. And you know what you learn in this town is, nobody can tell you how to vote. The sign is not going to educate you on how to vote. You got to meet the candidates, meet the people that are going to be making the decisions, and also look at some of the past. There's some past people that are running that have some past history that costs the taxpayers, some money. And I think you educated voters will make the decision on who's going to be elected. But, where else are you going to get an opportunity? Hear from the candidates, meet the candidates, get some food, have a nice drink, hang out at Whiskey River Tavern for a few hours, and just meet good people. So 4:30 to 7 at the Whiskey River Tavern. So, Matt, what's going on at U.S. Vets?
Well, we're really excited. We just finished our groundbreaking at Fort Whipple about 3 weeks ago. So we're hot and heavy in the middle of taking those 6 officers' quarters, turning them into living conditions. And then also down below, we have an 80-unit apartment complex that's being built from the ground up. So that's going to add another 103 housing units for low-income elderly veterans. Right now at Liberty Point, we have about 130 veterans that we serve there. In the community total, we have about 180. So
wow,
yeah. So we're
so that's going to put you over almost around 300.
Yes, and that we're very excited about that because the whole circumference of and focus that we're doing at the VA is low-income elderly veterans.
Sure.
I mean, again, there is a housing shortage, but not so much of a housing shortage as there is affordable housing.
Right.
So that's a big part of what we're doing and what we're addressing. Plus, having those elderly veterans at the VA, they're going to be close to the hospital. They'll be close to services that the VA provides. So it's going to be a major win-win.
Well, and I think the perception, people say homeless. Homeless does not mean that somebody is living out on the street.
Correct.
Underneath a tarp, and they're looking, in college terms, they talk about couch surfing. Yep. People that don't have a fixed address. And what is the definition for U.S. Vets for homelessness?
Yes, that's it. I mean, it's the couch surfing, those kind of things. We can define that as homeless. Also, and we've got an incredible outreach team that goes out, and we have other organizations. Obviously, we can't be everywhere, so we have other organizations that'll call us up and say, we have this veteran in front of us, and they are either living in their car, or they're just about to get kicked out of their apartment or whatever because of the rent's gone way up and that kind of stuff. So we also work with preventative. We don't want them to go straight from they're in an apartment or a house and out, and now they are out on the street. So we do a lot of the preventative. As a matter of fact, today Justin, our outreach coordinator, jumped in one of our vehicles and is going to Kingman to pick up a veteran. So I think a lot of people don't know this, but we serve all of northern Arizona.
Sure.
So that's all the way up to the border.
Sure. And just because you don't have maybe a footprint there, you're still serving.
Absolutely.
But the goal is to have a footprint. I know you guys have been looking at Prescott Valley because Prescott Valley has such a large number of veterans because of the affordability of housing and, more of a retirement. Prescott's big on retirement, but so is Prescott Valley. But, I know you guys have been looking out there and maybe even on the other side of the hill.
Yes.
But just because you don't have a physical presence there, you're still supporting our first responders, our law enforcement in all of the communities in northern Arizona.
Absolutely. I mean, we have touch points throughout those communities, including all the way to Flagstaff and such, where we stay in contact with pertinent organizations or touch points where we communicate with each other, and that's one of the reasons that we found out about this veteran in Kingman. They picked up the phone and said, "Hey, we got this individual, so we're going up there, we're picking them up."
Cool. I think John had a question.
No,
or a comment.
No, I think what you're doing is amazing, and what I've had a lot of experience with vets. We own Silver Sands Recovery, and we get a lot of vets that we deal with that are all great people, and they don't have the resources, and sometimes they're forgotten. So I commend you for what you're doing and lifting these guys up that, put their life on the line, a lot of them, to defend our country, and we owe them the respect that they deserve and show them some love. And so you're doing a great job.
I can see this conversation is going to get deep, but it's going to be a three-way conversation. John, you want to talk a little bit about your recovery and the different programs that you're in, and we'll just intertwine the conversation because you're into rehabilitation, addiction, and it's not always drugs and alcohol. It could be prescription drugs.
Absolutely.
Veterans for a long time got prescribed a lot of drugs, and then it becomes an addiction.
Veterans and just regular citizens as well. It's really not my business. My wife, Lisa, she founded Silver Sands Recovery, and it's a great program. I'm the golf director for the program, so I got the easy job.
Right.
And what we see, though, is people that have addictions, whether it's alcohol, illicit drugs, or prescription drugs, they're caught inside a trap. And what we try to do is lift them up, get to the root cause of why they're doing this in the first place. A lot of time they're masking the pain of some trauma, whether it's war, whether it's a bad relationship, whether it's family issues, abuse. And then the second part of recovery is basically giving them and finding what the root cause is. And then the last part is to give them a reason to live a sober life with joy and happiness. And that usually takes some time, but we're very proud of the program, and I'm really proud of my wife. It's her deal. I'm just a supporting player in the deal.
Well, she has a passion. But, we're not on here to sugarcoat stuff. We get a lot of veterans that get incarcerated, get arrested for, whether it's addiction, DUI, doing something stupid, because, veterans, we've all done that. But it's, there is a problem.
Of course.
But there is a way out. And that's the great thing about, through the programs, whether it's addiction, whether it's US Vet, you guys are the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's not 100% foolproof.
No, and it's a support system. It's not an end all end. It's a support system. Housing First is a program that we do where it's we have, and I think this is really important, and that is to go back to circle back to the housing, to the homeless thing. It has a different face now. I have some of the veterans, that talk about how they became experiencing homeless, and really comes down to they took a left, I took a right. So we're all the same guy. It's just choices that they made or situations or circumstances that they found themselves in that put them into U.S. Vets. But I think it's really important to understand that our part of our mission is to get them back on their feet, to become self-sufficient and such. And we have a great team. We have case managers. We have a clinical team. You know, we've got Sergeant Fox group that's suicide prevention that works with our veterans and such. So it's a team effort. They come in and they, there's 4 people in this room. Well, we have 4 people in this room that have completely different stories.
Right. Well, and we're going to take a break. We'll be right back on the KYCA PM show, 928-541-1016, and we'll continue this conversation after our break. And we're back on the KYCA PM show. I've got John Murphy and Matt Phillips here live. And, we were talking about addiction. We're talking about homelessness. We're talking about so many different things. The spiral, that not being 100% success all the time, but the support system, the being able to work together. And, John, you being the golf director. That's a pretty good title.
It's a dirty job, but somebody
There
has
you
to
go.
do it.
There you go. But you're very active in the community with charitable organizations and giving back in many different ways. And I would say a lot of things you do in the 501c3 is the teamwork, the collaboration, the support
Absolutely.
systems.
So if you just go into the Prescott Food Forest, I am the founder of the Make 100 Healthy Foundation, and it's all about living a long life with health and vitality. And it starts with what you eat. And a lot of times, a lot of the addiction problems that we see are because they're devoid of nutritional intake. And that's something that Robert F. Kennedy and the MAHA movement is addressing. But on a local level, the Prescott Food Forest, which is out at Be Organic Farm in Chino Valley, we teach people how to grow food. We help them. We pick the food and we give it to the food pantries. Last night we had probably over 100 people at the Solid Rock Food Ministry, and we provided kale and chives and lettuce and all kinds of good nutritious food that feeds feeds their bodies with nutritional value so that they can think properly.
Sure.
Because a lot of times if you don't have good food in your body, you're not thinking well. You're angry. You're hungry. You're hangry.
Okay. I just had a chocolate shake from McDonald's with whipped cream, but I had my dairy.
There you go.
So
It's
I'm
all
in
a
pretty good
balance. It's a
shape. I
balance.
didn't have lunch, so I had to grab something quick. But it was, but we're talking the support system, the collaboration. That may be something you could take over to U.S. Vets, and teach. How to grow. I mean, it's a therapy. Just like a dog is a therapy. I don't know if there's therapy plants, but I would imagine planting could be a certain therapy.
And I seriously appreciate you bringing that up because last year we served over 63,000 meals.
Wow.
So these
That's a lot of kale.
It is a lot of kale, and it's yeah.
We'd like to
lot of
provide some of
spinach.
that food for you.
That would be great.
And to that end, bringing the community together, Pat, you were, and thank you very much for being part of our Rock the Garden Open golf tournament, our fundraiser to raise money to support the Prescott Food Forest, to help grow food and then give it away. And the ancillary charity on that was we raised some extra money for the kids at Trinity Christian School. That
And we still need to do
That's
something
fantastic.
else.
we're going to do it.
We got to do something because they're going in
Absolutely.
February on that mission trip. But I want to do a fundraiser to help them out because what great kids.
Wonderful kids, and it was a great way of taking what we do, which is growing food, and teaching people how to grow food and to be self-sustainable. That's the most important thing. Just learning how to grow food is one thing, but to be self-sustainable and to be able to know the value of what good food is really a life skill that back in the day, I used to have the Victory Garden gala, and that is where, back in World War II, half the people got their food from Grandma and Grandpa's outdoor Victory Garden.
Sure.
And then we got into the McDonald's and the Swanson Foods, the TV dinners, and now we have 63% people obese or fat or obese, and it's not on purpose. It's the food we eat, and it's through deceptive marketing. I've eaten wheat thins and I've never lost weight once.
No, I wish I had a little stock in Majerno and Ozepic.
Yes.
I wouldn't be here.
I mean, and these balanced meals are important because these veterans that come in that we serve, they have food insecurity because they've lived hand to mouth, if even that. So when they come in, that's one of the foundational things that we do. Our kitchen does an amazing job. To your point, nutritional meals that are full of vitamins and those kind of things. Because if you don't have the foundation, if you don't have your foundation, like you were saying, that then you can't. It's hard to go from there. It's hard to sit in front of a case manager or some or a clinical team or the workforce development, because that's one of the other things we do. We help them get work. But if your belly isn't full and it's not nutritional, then there's a problem.
Well, that's why we want to get back to basic foods.
Yes.
All these foods, and a lot of the charities that give away food, it's wonderful to keep them full, but are they keeping them healthy? Or and so when you eat natural food, when you get food from the land, you're getting the best. And when you do that, you stop having that stinking thinking, which you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're angry and it's somebody else's fault and you never look at yourself. And that's all part of being, having a lack of nutrition in your body. So, for people that we really focus on the kids. So the veterans is just another group, but we really want to get to the kids. We call it the gardeners of destiny, the next generation of gardeners. And I'm happy to say that kids today are more aware of real food and eating something that's natural as opposed to the fructose and the artificial dyes and the chemicals that are just really hurting our society in way more ways than just your weight.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think that back to what Matt was saying about the veterans, there's so many different nutritional needs for, because you're dealing from,
Yep.
What's your youngest person there?
Say probably 30 plus.
And your
30
oldest?
plus in his 80s.
Yeah, so probably the difference between the 30-something individual and the 80, there's nutritional others, plus medication.
Plus medication, diabetes.
Right.
Because we also, make sure that we have special meals for those kind of medical needs also. So, yeah, I mean, it's the whole gamut.
It's just amazing. Talk step for vets. Let's quit talking about food. I'm hungry.
Now let's exercise so we can get
Let's
hungrier.
get some exercise so I can get another shake.
Well, this was on May 17th. We had our first live run. It was Steps for Vets to both promote the message that we put out as far as helping homeless veterans and helping but it goes much further than that. The workforce development, the community engagement. And we did really well. We, a shout out to Grant at Founding Fathers who hosted it. We brought in about $60,000, which was fantastic. It's basically our first one. We did one last year that was virtual, but this year we did a live run. It was a lot of fun. It was a 5K. We absolutely plan on doing another one next year. May 16th. What it really did too is it brought the community together, brought community awareness, but it also, when you bring community awareness like that, you can also bring in a lot of fun.
Sure.
And and we made sure that it was for everybody, for kids, for adults. It didn't matter your limitations. We made it a big party. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and I think you just got to be honest with people. Your budgets are getting cut.
Yes.
Money that's coming from the federal government is being sometimes even taken away totally or reduced. So you're having to get creative to go out there and find ways to supplement and keep programs going, to keep food on the table for 130 different veterans. And, it takes the community effort and community to support to make these things happen.
Well, and we're so fortunate, Pat. This community is so generous, and it's also so veteran friendly that I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed by individuals, businesses, foundations in this area that are willing to step up and say, how can we help?
Sure.
You and I spoke about that, about the charitable hearts of the people of Prescott, and how a lot of our charities and a lot of the fundraisers we do, we try to keep all the money local, to put it back into to the community and to benefit the community. Saturday was Flag Day, the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army.
Birthday.
And happy birthday to DJT. And
there you go.
And the bottom line is that I think that a lot of the veterans, feel unappreciated. They feel, that they were kind of looked upon in a bad way, and by honoring our military, I think it's going to lift everybody up.
Absolutely.
Well, it's if we go into things positive,
right?
But you can't hide the reality. Too many times we try to sugarcoat things, and people think it's just a big party. Hey, you raised money, you had a big party and stuff. They don't realize the time, the effort, the need, what goes into these. And I think everybody tries to keep the administrative costs as low as possible.
Yes.
So every available penny goes to the cause. But it's tough, because things do. Signs cost money. Things do cost money. But I think the bottom line is to support the charities and make sure the people that we're raising money for are the ones that get it.
And the money that's raised, stays here.
Yep.
It does stay here, and it supports the veterans.
There you go. Well, we're going to take another break on the KYCA PM show, and we'll be right back. And we're back with the KYCA PM show. We're talking gardening. So if you'd like to call in, the number is 928-541-1016. If you'd like to talk to John Murphy about gardening, Matt Phillips with U.S. Vets, or just anything in particular, give us a call. So, we go back into nonprofits. I mean, you're both affiliated with them. And, who knows how many nonprofits we have in this town. I mean, there's a lot. We have 3 or 4 pages with 100 Men Who Care, that we're looking at, to pick charities when they come up. But, there's just a lot for, the size of, where we are. There's a lot of nonprofits.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's again, it comes down to what's in your heart. What's, what is it that attracts you? What motivates you? What's the passion that you want to fulfill? And that's what I tell people all the time, and it's like, find that organization that you can get behind and get behind them.
Sure.
I mean, that's the thing. It's get behind them. And, again, we're extremely fortunate that we live in a community that's so veteran supportive. The gardening thing, that's fantastic. We're both serving a purpose in the sense that we're empowering people, and I think that's super important. But to your point, that I believe it's one of the largest percentage of nonprofits in Arizona is in Yavapai County.
Well, and it's, as you said, Matt, it's all about lifting people up.
Right.
And that's really what touches my heart when I support charities. I founded the Prescott Food Forest to empower people to be able to, eat nutritious food. And it really was originally to reduce diabetes and obesity. And then COVID hit, and then we had food insecurity. And so now it's more about, getting people to know that just because you have a Fry's down the street doesn't mean that it's going to be full if there's a time of crisis.
Right.
And preserving food and growing food is just an important thing. At our Rock the Garden Open, the golf outing on April 29th, which was pretty much a sellout, and we had so many local businesses and great people support it. We raised about $40,000.
Right.
And out of that money, we put money into the program. We support Be Organic Farm, different gardening education programs. We give scholarships out, and for those scholarships, we ask for volunteers. And we have some volunteers, but I was just sharing with Matt, as much as we have a great community, getting people to come on a regular basis to help tend the gardens, we're still lacking. So I wanted to announce a program, and some of the monies that we've raised, we are going to put together an internship program for people that would like to learn how to grow food, to help us tend to the gardens, pick the food, and help distribute it. We're going to be paying $15 an hour, 4-hour shifts, and we're looking for 6 to 10 people throughout the summer. So if you're interested, go to PrescottFoodForest.com or call me directly at 928-899-1341. I'm leading a Monday morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and we make sure that the drip system's working, make sure there's no gophers and pests and squash bugs. Those squash bugs are tough.
Oh, wow.
And because we do everything organically. And so the more that we have regular volunteers, we have the capacity to grow more food to help more people. But we need to have a regular amount of people that come each week, because you can't just grow food in this heat and expect it to last. You have to look out for it. So reaching out to high schoolers, colleges, college students, or even adults that want to help out. We're looking for volunteers because we don't want to spend our whole budget, but to offer 6 to 10 internships is what we're doing. We're announcing it right here, and you can maybe make some money, learn how to grow food, and also help out those in need.
And I'll bet you Matt is already thinking in his head, I see the wheels spinning. They have a workforce group over there, and that would be a great opportunity and not too stressful. So what kind of food right now? I mean, so you guys do different things over the season?
Yeah, we have different vegetables, fruits and vegetables that grow at different times. Our lettuces were early season, cold weather. We have a lot of the root vegetables, beets. Now we're getting into the beans. The tomatoes are starting to really come in. We just planted a couple of weeks ago. We did 500 feet of planting with one of our interns. His name is Raj. And so the zucchini and the squash, they grow like crazy, and you could feed a lot of people. We gave away, I don't know, a half a bushel of kale that they cooked at the Solid Rock Food Ministry last night. And we also have eggs up there because they have chickens and hens. And so we have all kinds of food that is available. Peas, we have carrots. I said beets already, turnips. We have chives. In fact, I've taken 2 showers. I still have the chives on my fingers.
Good. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and we'll continue that conversation. And we're back with the KYCA PM show. And we were just talking with old McMurphy over here, had a farm or whatever you have. But, that's just so interesting is when you're the different growing seasons. Now, are you doing any melons, like watermelons or
Yes,
anything?
we are. Yeah, we have watermelons, cantaloupe. We're planting pumpkins, so in September,
You might be
October.
competing against Mortimer's. You might just make them and sell them to Mortimer's.
Well, we don't do that kind of volume, but
You never know.
Hey, listen, we want to work with everybody. We love Waters Garden Center,
Sure.
Mortimer's, very charitable people, and
Right.
It's all about bringing community together.
You got it. We've got Mike on line 1. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the KYCA PM show.
Thanks. Good afternoon. Hey, John, you have a great place out there. I know Agape's gotten a bunch of the fruit from you guys, and I've got my hands dirty too.
Oh, Mike Kimmel, you are a good man.
Yep.
I didn't catch him until he said something.
So Mike came out. Mike came out and volunteered and got the garden set up about a month and a half ago, and Agape House has been one of our recipients in the past. And I just want to give a big shout out to Mark and Ginny Bonaquista. They're the owners of Be Organic Farm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a private 5-acre farm, and they've blessed us with the farm. We support them, but we could not afford to do what we do without their wonderful leadership. So thank you. And Mike signed up yesterday. This is related. We're going to be taking the 2200 challenge to help 2200 push-up challenge to pay respect to veteran suicide.
Outstanding.
So 2200 push-ups in the month of July, which is only like 75 a day. So
You could do those with your eyes closed.
I might have to because I'll be straining so hard.
might improve your golf game though. You might
Oh,
be
yes.
crushing the ball a little further. So, Mike, I didn't know you were.
John,
I didn't know you were a gardener.
Yep. Yeah. No, we're excited to do the 2200, and maybe we'll have to meet at the park and do the last 10 one-handed, right?
There
I
you go.
love that. And Mike was at our homesteading conference that we held at PV at the Civic Center grounds. Very nice of them to give us that property. And I appreciate you being there, Mike. And I think that was a great event. And that brought together not just gardeners, but people that grow chickens and apiaries and everything that happened to do with homesteading. It was we had over 1,000 people there, and that's just some of the supplemental things that are benefiting from the charity that we put together. So it's not just growing food, but that's our primary core mission.
There you go. Hey, Mike, I'm sure I'll see you between now and then, so sign me up for the 2,200 push-ups.
All right. I'll see you in a little bit.
There you go. We'll see you. So thanks for calling in, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, God bless you guys. Bye.
So, we talk about, let's go back to the veteran perspective. Vegetables are a big thing with you guys because I've served in there before. And,
Absolutely.
It seems like our warriors enjoy vegetables, salads. And
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's all about balanced meals. It's all about, not taking out that McDonald's thing, It's about nutrition, vitamins, grounding, and
exercise.
And exercise. I mean, I've come from a ranching farming community. I grew up in there, and I still have my hands in the dirt and such. And there's nothing like it. I mean, it's a foundational thing that we've gotten away from. That all we have to do is just get back to it. And it's an incredible stress reliever too.
And we got a caller on line number 2 that loves his vegetables. What you doing, Steve?
I just got out of the garden and getting all the dirt out from underneath my fingernails. I got to tell you, as everybody out there knows that's gardening, the heat is hot and the vegetables need to be watered at least 3 times a day or make sure they have plenty of shade. But I'm calling in to let everybody know that we're having a gathering, as you suggested early in the show, for Greg Wazell, Henry Ebarb, and Brandon Matoya, down on Whiskey Row at the Whiskey River Tavern. It started at 4:30 and it goes until 7.
Good. Well, I appreciate your support on that, Steve. Both of us being, born and raised here, I think we take this pretty serious. And you and I discussed this a lot of times off the air about the importance of getting the right people in there because, getting the wrong people causes employees to leave to look for better opportunities or other opportunities. It causes chaos. It causes investigations. There's a lot of things that getting the wrong candidates into our city system can be hurtful rather than helpful.
It's real simple there, Pat, is the fact of the matter. People have come here based upon the folks that have been on council over the past 20 years, including your dad, including myself, and a lot of other people, Greg Wazell, and people that care about this community. And the bottom line is we don't need to go backwards. We need to go forward.
That's exactly right. And, we need to take care of each other, and that's what's great about having John and Matt in here today is, we have such a generous community. Let's spend money on helping others and keeping our community strong rather than just complaining about economic development and buying pieces of dirt that serve no purpose.
I would agree with 100%. So I'm right down here on Whiskey Row, and I'll wait to see you here shortly. John Murphy, thank you for all you do for the community, and thank you, U.S. Vets, for all you do as well. You guys have a good rest of your show.
We'll see you in a little bit, Steve.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for the
Steve.
call.
All right.
Thank you.
Steve and Blind Brothers, they were one of the primary sponsors of our Rock the Garden Open. You were
Right,
one
I
of their
played on their
players.
team, yeah.
And he's a big gardener, and we just have that affinity. And, people like yourself and people like Steve and others that have really taken a leadership position are inspirational to people like myself to really stay involved. Because, if you feel like you're an island unto yourself, it's easy to get discouraged. But when you see people putting their heart and soul doing things like tonight and getting people to get educated, it's important. And all those things you mentioned are all valid. But, we want to make sure we avoid lawsuits as well, because that costs our city a lot of money.
There you go. We're going to take our final break. We'll be right back on the KYCA PM show. And we're back on the KYCA PM show. It's the last segment, and I'm just going to turn this over to Matt and John, and have at it, guys. Free for all.
So, we've been talking about nutrition. We've been talking about food. We've been talking about gardening. But, I think overarching what we're talking about is supportive community. And, and it's those vehicles. It's the different vehicles that we get to where we want to get to help that part of the population become successful. And again, I can't say enough about the community here and all the support. One of the things about a nonprofit is it's only as effective and healthy as the volunteers that actually support it. So of course, we're always looking for volunteers too. So just coincidentally, like in the kitchen, And so if there's anybody out there that wants to volunteer in the kitchen, you can get a hold of Michelle Breen at 928-356-2771 and see what kind of shifts you might be interested in. That would be great.
Now, do you need a food handler's card for that?
You do not.
Okay.
No. So, the other thing is that with these different programs, these critical programs that we provide our veterans, again, we couldn't do what we do without the support, whether it's financial, whether it's of your time, whether it's events that we put on that you come out and you enjoy. Again, to Pat, to your point, we do these things solely so we can support our veterans. The other thing that is really important is we have the Veteran Connection Hub, which is right next door to Hacienda Inn. Any veteran can go in there. Any veteran, not just the ones that we serve, get a cup of coffee. We do workshops. We get them connected with other organizations or services that they need. It's very crucial that, again, through things like gardening, it's not just your gardening. You're connecting with another human being, and you're not isolating and such, which is a major problem when we're talking about things like addiction and things. They just want to isolate. Well, that the Veteran Connection Hub helps them not do that and expand. So I want to thank you, John, for what you do, because I think that's incredibly important.
Well, right back at you. And you mentioned something. We can't do this thing. I'm the figurehead. I'm the guy that's the visionary. But without our volunteer crew, we have a lady who's 82 years old, Ann Smeltzer. We call her our gardening goddess grandma. She's out there every Wednesday and Saturday leading the volunteer crew. We've got Kathleen Murphy, Stephanie Leon. We have so many people that have given their time consistently to show leadership. We've got the kids from Trinity Christian School that come out there and they help us with the garden. We've got the guys from the Mormon Church that come out every Saturday. So it takes a village, if you will, and we are so proud and honored and blessed to have such a great community. If you want to learn more about what we're doing, go to PrescottFoodForest.com. We have a thriving community on Facebook. It's Prescott Food Forest. And, the bottom line is that if we all do a little, we get a lot done. You can't do it alone, but you can do a lot together. And so we invite you to come out every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., 9 a.m. to 12 noon on Wednesdays. And I am personally leading the Monday crew from 9 to noon. And if you want to be part of that, whether it's an internship or volunteer, we need your help. The more that you help us, the more we can help others. And we have the capacity to grow more food, but unless we tend to it, we're just wasting valuable resources. So, and I want to thank you, Pat, for what you do and for supporting our mission. And I want to give a little advance plug. The third annual Rock the Garden Open Golf Tournament with live bands and great music and food. It happens on Tuesday, April 28th at the club at Prescott Lakes. If you want to become a sponsor again, we've had great support. You want to play, we're going to be opening up registration soon. So I hope to see you there. And we're going to put something together to expand the base and help other organizations, maybe AMVETS as well, to
US
be part of
Vets.
that.
US
Vets. Yeah, sorry.
There you go. Same.
Sorry.
We like AMVETS, though, too.
Yeah, I apologize.
So what events do you got coming up, Matt? Anything on the horizon?
The main focus this fall is going to be Fort Whipple. We're going to be transitioning to Fort Whipple with those 6 officers' quarters, we expect to have a ribbon cutting for the 6 officers' quarters in January.
Wow, how many are going to be able to? Is it 3 bedrooms?
20. It's going to be a total of 23. 23
Okay.
people, our veterans, are going to be able to move in there, and then in the June we'll have the 80 units. So we're focusing in on that, and then of course in the spring we'll have another Steps for Vets, which will be May 16th, 2026. So stay tuned for more.
We got to think about a concert or something. Maybe you and I will sing.
Yeah, I think.
I remember when you and I sang with Tony Orlando and Don.
I know, and everyone cried, and it wasn't because they loved it. But I mean, again, to echo John, we were thanking everyone, but I want to thank you, Pat. I mean, you're a solid rock in this community, especially with veterans and everything else. I mean, you're everywhere, and you love your community, and you love your community through your action. And I think that's
I think that's the way a lot of people are. I mean, you both came from other places. You're still proud of where you came from. You've just moved on to other locations. I've left and come back, but there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being proud. I mean, you bring memories. You bring, you both moved here because there was something you liked. But I'll bet you if you sat down right now and said, wow, things have changed, they really have. And some for the good, some maybe not so good. A lot of people complain about the traffic, the air noise, and stuff like that, but it's still so much better than other places.
We live in a beautiful place, period.
We do. We're so blessed.
I think Prescott is one of the most beautiful places in the country, and I think I'm going to spend the rest of my life here.
Sure.
And I have a little plot in the backyard, so maybe even after I'm done.
There you go. Well, and why should we shut the door for others to not enjoy our place?
Yep.
We're a land of opportunity. If somebody else wants to come, why should we shut the door and tell them they can't come and we want to stop? Let them come. I mean, we'll find a way.
There's a real flavor. The more diversity you have, the more people from different places, the more we learn from each other, the more we grow.
Sure.
And as long as it's done in a organized fashion, we have our city plan that has a cap on what it can be, but we're not there yet.
No.
And when people talk about traffic, there's more traffic. But being from Jersey, this is nothing.
You ain't seen nothing yet. But and Matt, just with you guys have grown now. You're looking in Prescott Valley.
Absolutely.
And I know you guys are looking, if somebody does know of a good piece of commercial office space, let U.S. Vets know in Prescott Valley, because they want to expand to help the veteran community. They already are helping the veteran community, but they want to expand to have somebody there.
Absolutely.
So any shout out you want to do? You got 2 minutes. You guys still got a lot of time.
I just want to shout out to the community itself.
Right.
With that, again, I keep saying this, but I mean it, wholeheartedly. Without their support, we couldn't do what we do. When I first started 11 years ago, we were helping 56 veterans. Today we're 180. Soon it's going to be an additional 103. And we couldn't grow like that without the support of the community, and we're just blessed.
We talk about the community as a general statement, but I really want to talk about the business community.
Right.
Olson's Grain has been with me since day one. Ed Lamb, from Lamb, which is
Ed
now
Walsh,
KYCA.
right.
Ed Walsh was #1, first guy ever invested. Dignity Health.
Right.
All these people, Steve Blair with the Blind Brothers, without their support, I would not be able to be as charitable as I am. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful to them, and I'm honored that they've put their faith in me to be able to give back to the community. So that part of it is just, very essential. Ken Lane from Waters Garden Center, been there since day one.
Sure.
And so thank you all the business out there.
And people like people that are good stewards of money.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. So, okay, well, we're going to call this a wrap. Remember, from 4:30 to 7 tonight at the Whiskey River Tavern, come meet mayoral candidate Brandon Montoya and city council candidates Greg Lozelle and Henry Ebarb. Food is provided. Drinks are on your own, but come and talk to the candidates, and don't be afraid to ask the serious questions. So, everybody have a great afternoon. Stay cool, and we'll see you next month.
Let's go.